My brother Justin sold our family farm while I was helping our mother breathe through a bad morning. Not after Dad's funeral, not after a family meeting. While Mom's pills sat on the kitchen table, he walked in wearing a clean shirt and a smile, dropped a developer's folder beside Dad's coffee mug, and said, "The farm is mine now. You should have read the will." I asked how he sold land Mom and I never signed away. Justin laughed until Mom stared at the floor and whispered, "Lift the board under your father's chair." I pried it up right there. If Justin knew the truth, would he laugh, and what do you think I did next? Stay until the end. Miller Farm sat 3 miles outside a town small enough that everybody knew when your mailbox got hit by a snowplow. To strangers. It was 80 acres of corn, soybeans, aging fences, and a red barn that needed paint every spring. To me, it was Dad's handwriting carved into the edge of the kitchen table. It was Mom humming hymns while snapping green beans. It was the oak tree behind the cattle shed where my brother Justin once promised he would never leave. He left first. Justin was the oldest, the son, the one neighbors slapped on the back and called the future of the farm before he had ever fixed a busted gate. He liked the title. He liked the way people looked at him when Dad handed him keys to the truck. I was the one holding the flashlight. When a calf got stuck in the mud, I was there. When Dad tracked seed prices in a spiral notebook, I sat beside him. When the combine broke down during harvest, I drove parts across 2 counties while Justin was in Des Moines chasing another business idea. Nobody called me the future. They called me helpful after Dad got sick. Helpful became everything. I took Mom to appointments, learned which pills went with food, balanced bills on the same table where we used to roll pie crust. I cut back my hours at the school cafeteria because Mom could not be alone all day. Justin visited with expensive coffee, talked loudly about opportunities, then disappeared before dishes were done. Dad never complained about him. He only got quieter. One night, near the end, he asked me to sit with him on the back porch. The fields were black except for the porch light catching the tops of the corn. "Land doesn't belong to the loudest child," he said. I thought he was feverish. "It belongs to the one who understands what it costs." I squeezed his hand and told him to rest. After the funeral, Justin became useful in a new way. He showed up with folders, made calls, told Mom not to worry about estate pressure. He said he would handle the land papers because that was what Dad would have wanted. I wanted to believe him. I was tired enough to believe almost anything. But the first time he asked where Dad kept the deed box, Mom's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. And Justin noticed. So did I, though I did not understand why yet. Then, the rumor reached me at Harlan's Feed and Supply on a Tuesday morning. I was buying mineral blocks and a bag of cracked corn when Mr. Whitman, who had farmed the land beside ours for 40 years, took off his cap and looked at me like he was about to mention a death. "Hannah," he said, "is it true Miller Land is going commercial?" The bag slipped in my hands. "What?" He glanced toward the front window, where 2 men in clean boots were standing beside a white pickup with a surveying logo on the door. "South Field," he said quietly. "Heard they're looking at road access for a warehouse project." I drove home with my heart beating so hard I barely heard the gravel under my tires. Justin was in the yard when I pulled in, talking on his phone near Dad's old tractor. He ended the call the second he saw me. "Who were those men by the South Field?" I asked. His smile came too fast. "Boundary people." "For what, relax?" "Hannah." Not everything is a crisis. That was Justin's favorite trick. He did not answer. He made you feel foolish for asking. Inside, Mom was at the kitchen table, wrapped in her blue cardigan even though it was warm. A stack of papers sat beside her tea. When I reached for them, Justin stepped in front of me. "Bank stuff," he said. "Then I can read it." His face hardened. "You're not Dad's lawyer." "No," I said, "but I'm the one making sure Mom doesn't sign something she doesn't understand." Mom's hand trembled around her cup. That evening, Justin's wife, Marissa, arrived in a spotless SUV that looked wrong against our muddy drive. She walked through the kitchen without taking off her sunglasses. You can't expect everyone to live around your memories forever, she said. I looked at her. This isn't a photo album, it's our home. It's land, she replied. And land is worth something now. After they left, I searched Dad's desk, the file cabinet, even the old metal deed box in the closet. Bills, seed receipts, farm insurance, tax notices. But the one thing I needed was missing. The deed papers. Near midnight. I found Justin's laptop open on the porch table, humming in the dark. A printed email sat beside it, still warm from the office printer. Closing timeline must remain private until family objection window has passed. That was when I understood. Justin had not come home to help us. He had come home to beat us to the signature line. Justin found me with the email in my hand. For 1 second, he looked almost embarrassed. Then his face changed into something colder, something older than grief. You went through my things. It was on Dad's porch table. That doesn't make it yours. I held the paper up. Family objection window. His jaw moved once, like he was biting back the truth and deciding it was too late to bother. Mom sat at the kitchen table in her blue cardigan, her pill organizer open in front of her. The morning light made her look smaller than she was. Justin saw her watching and straightened, slipping back into the role he loved most, the oldest son carrying the burden. I was going to tell you both when the timing was right, he said. Tell us what? He smiled. That I signed an option agreement. The kitchen went silent except for the old refrigerator kicking on behind him. With who I asked, though I already knew. Prairie Ridge Development. They're offering more than this place will ever be worth as a farm, Mom whispered. Justin. He turned to her quickly. You'll have a better house. No stairs, no drafty windows. No fields to worry about. She didn't ask for that, I said. Justin's eyes snapped back to me. And you don't get to decide for everybody because you stayed behind and made yourself useful. The words hit harder than I expected. Useful. That was what he thought of the meals, the appointments, the bills, the nights I slept in a chair beside Mom's bed because she was scared to breathe alone. I looked at the folder he had dropped beside Dad's coffee mug. You sold Dad's farm while I was taking care of Mom. Justin gave a short laugh. The farm is mine now. You should have read the will. Mom's face drained of color. You don't own all of it, I said. He leaned closer. I own enough to move forward. Then Marissa stepped into the kitchen doorway, arms folded, sunglasses pushed into her hair. Hannah, she said, you should be grateful. Your brother is finally turning this place into something. I looked around the kitchen, the scarred table, the chipped mug, Dad's empty chair. Something. Justin walked toward the hall, already pulling out his phone. Closing is moving ahead. Don't embarrass yourself trying to stop it. When he left the room, Mom reached for my wrist. Her fingers were cold. Hannah, she whispered, staring at the floor beneath Dad's chair. Your father told me, if Justin ever came waving papers. She swallowed hard. Lift that board. I knelt with a screwdriver, heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear the wood crack loose. Under the floor was a yellow envelope. On it, in Dad's handwriting, were 5 words. Caleb cannot sell what was never his alone. The envelope did not look powerful. It was yellowed at the corners, sealed with brittle tape, and stained by something that might have been coffee from 20 years ago. But when I turned it over and saw Dad's handwriting, my knees nearly gave out. Justin cannot sell what was never his alone. Mom covered her mouth. Inside were 3 things a letter, land trust papers, and an old deed with notes in Dad's block letters. I did not understand the legal language. I only understood enough to feel the room tilt, the home place, the south field, the oak line. Mom and me. Our names were there. Justin came back into the kitchen still talking on his phone. He saw the envelope in my hand and stopped mid-sentence. For once, he had nothing polished to say. That's old, he said. Then why do you look scared? His eyes moved from me to Mom. You shouldn't have opened that. Mom's voice shook, but it held. Your father told me to. Justin reached for the papers. I stepped back. That was the first time in my life I saw my brother realize I would not hand him something just because he held out his hand. By noon, I had Mom in my truck and the envelope in my coat pocket. We drove to Ellen Whitaker's office above the pharmacy, where the stairs creaked and the waiting room smelled like lemon cleaner and files. Ellen read every page without interrupting. Then she opened the county recorder's website, pulled up the property records, and began connecting the paper Dad hid to the documents Justin had tried to ignore. "Your brother may have authority over parts of the estate," she said, tapping one page, "but he does not have clean title to sell the whole farm." Mom closed her eyes. Ellen continued, "The home place and South Field are restricted. Any sale requires Ruth's consent and Hannah's. If he represented otherwise, that is a serious problem." I thought I would feel victory. I felt sick, because Justin had not made a mistake. He had gambled that Mom was too weak and I was too tired to question him. Ellen told me what to gather Dad's farm books, tax records, bills I had paid, the printed email, messages from Marissa, and witnesses who knew Dad's wishes. By sunset, a legal notice went to Prairie Ridge Development. At 7:14 p.m., Justin called screaming, "You're ruining this family." I looked at Dad's letter on the table. "No," I said, "I'm stopping you from selling him twice." The county building smelled like floor polish, old paper, and rain-soaked coats. By the time Mom and I arrived, Justin was already there. He stood near the front of the meeting room in a pressed white shirt, laughing with Grant Hollis from Prairie Ridge Development like they were two men closing a clean deal instead of one man trying to sell what did not belong to him. Marissa sat behind him with her purse in her lap and that same polished expression she wore when she wanted the world to think money was just good sense. A map of Miller Farm had been pinned to a board. Our house was a small square. The barn was a red mark. The south field was shaded in blue, already labeled as proposed commercial access. I stared at it longer than I should have. On paper, Dad's life had been reduced to parcels, road frontage, drainage routes, and projected value. Justin saw me and smiled like he had expected a tantrum. "This is embarrassing." "Hannah," he said. I did not answer. Ellen Whitaker walked in behind us carrying a brown leather folder. Mr. Whitman followed slowly, his cap in both hands. Mom held my arm, not because she was confused, but because the room was full and her knees were tired. Justin looked at her and immediately softened his voice for the audience. "Mom, you shouldn't be here. This is too much stress." Mom looked at him. "Then you should not have made me come." A few heads turned. Grant Hollis cleared his throat. "Maybe we should take a moment?" "No need," Justin said quickly. "This is a family disagreement. My sister is emotional. She has been under pressure caring for our mother, and I respect that. But the estate gives me authority to move forward." Ellen set her folder on the table. "That statement is incomplete." Justin's smile froze. Grant looked at Ellen. "And you are Ellen Whitaker, counsel for Ruth Miller and Hannah Miller." Marissa leaned toward Justin and whispered something I could not hear. Ellen opened the folder and placed copies on the table one at a time. The land trust papers, the deed restriction, Dad's handwritten letter, the option agreement Justin had signed, the county record printouts. The room changed as each page landed. Ellen pointed to the map. Mr. Miller represented that he had full authority to sell the home place and South Field. The county records do not support that. The land is subject to restrictions that require Ruth Miller's consent and Hannah Miller's consent before any sale of those parcels. Justin gave a sharp laugh. "That is old paperwork." The county recorder, a gray-haired woman near the front row, adjusted her glasses. The restriction was never properly released. Justin turned toward her. "That can be corrected." "Not by you alone," she said. For the first time, Grant Hollis looked angry, not at me, but at Justin. "Did you know there was a consent issue?" Justin spread his hands. "My father's will put me in charge." Ellen slid another page forward. "In charge of certain estate administration, not sole owner of the restricted land." Mom stood then, the chair legs scraped softly under her. Her voice was thin, but every word reached the back of the room. Tom did not want the home place sold out from under Hannah. He said Justin would come back when the land was worth more than the family. Justin's face reddened. "Mom, don't do this." "You already did," she said. Mr. Whitman stepped beside her. "Tom told me the same thing years ago. Said no sale unless Ruth and Hannah agreed. Said Hannah was the one who knew what that farm cost." Marissa stood up. "This is ridiculous. People say things. That doesn't mean anything." Ellen looked at her. "Then we can discuss the deposit." Marissa sat back down. Grant's head turned slowly. "What deposit?" Justin said nothing. Ellen opened one final document. Prairie Ridge paid in advance under the option agreement. A portion appears to have been used to satisfy personal debts before title was confirmed. The silence that followed was not loud. It was worse. It was public. Grant closed his folder. "Justin, did you represent clean authority to sell this property?" Justin's mouth opened, but no words came out clean enough to use. I looked at the map again. The little square that was our house, the blue field, the road that would have cut through Dad's oak line. Then I looked at my brother. "You didn't sell a farm," I said. "You sold a lie." His eyes snapped to mine. "You're destroying this family." "No," I said. "You tried to cash out Dad's grave and call it leadership." Grant stood, buttoning his jacket. "Prairie Ridge will not proceed while title and authority are disputed. The rezoning request is withdrawn pending legal review." Justin looked like the floor had shifted under him. For years, he had been the oldest son, the loudest voice, the one everyone expected to inherit the room. But that morning, in front of the county, the developer, our neighbors, and our mother, Justin became something else. Not the man of the farm, the man who tried to sell it before anyone could read the truth. The deal did not explode in one dramatic afternoon. It froze. Prairie Ridge backed away first, saying they would not touch Miller Farm until title and authority were clean. The county removed the rezoning request from the agenda. Grant Hollis stopped returning Justin's calls. Then the deposit problem became real. Justin had treated that advance like money already earned. He had used part of it to pay down debts he had never told us about. And now the developer wanted answers from him instead of signatures from us. Marissa left the county building before anyone else. She did not look at me on her way out. Mom and I went back to Ellen's office the next week. This time, Mom wore lipstick and brought Dad's letter in her purse. Ellen updated the trust documents, confirmed Mom's right to stay in the house, and made me co-trustee over the protected parcels. I did not become rich. I became responsible. That mattered more. We still had bills. The barn still needed work. The tractor still coughed before starting, so I agreed to lease a narrow strip near the road to a local farmer for storage and seasonal access. Enough to help with expenses, not enough to carve Dad's life into a warehouse map. People in town started looking at me differently after that. Not as the daughter who stayed behind because she had no better option. As the daughter who stayed because somebody had to know where the truth was buried. Justin did not apologize. Maybe he never will. But he stopped calling the farm his. One evening, Mom and I stood on the porch while the corn moved in the wind beyond the oak line. She leaned against my shoulder and said, "Your father knew who would come back for the land." Then she smiled. He just knew who would protect it. That night, I went back to the kitchen alone. The loose board under Dad's chair had been nailed down again, but it no longer felt like it was hiding a secret. It felt like it had given one back. I placed Dad's letter in a fireproof box beside the trust papers and closed the lid. For years, Justin thought inheritance belonged to the loudest son. Dad knew better. Legacy belongs to the person willing to protect it. If your family ever tried to take what you protected and call it theirs, tell your story below. Subscribe for the next one.